सेव किया था ना?
मैं सिर्फ इसलिए गया था क्योंकि उसने मुझे कॉल किया, that's it. But listen तो.
Save it for someone else.
जिंदगी में सेव करना जरूरी है, मगर जब बात पैसों की हो, सिर्फ सेविंग से काम नहीं चलेगा। इक्विटी म्यूचुअल फंड्स में इन्वेस्ट कीजिए और अपने सेविंग्स को आगे बढ़ने का मौका दीजिए।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
Let me start by telling you a little story. It's about the President of India and the police people. The President of India is a well-respected, much admired figure. So you would be surprised, as I was, and as the residents of Gurugram were, when the police announced that she was visiting, I think it was the Brahma Kumari's headquarters, or some such place in Gurugram, where she was going to preside over a function. So far, so good. No problem with that. She goes to functions in Delhi all the time. Nobody bothers too much about it. But the Gurugram police said, because this function was going to be in Gurugram, they would, from the moment she entered their area, Gurugram, block traffic, which meant effectively that National Highway 8 would be blocked for, wait for it, 5 hours. They would also block traffic at various other places. I thought this was a completely bizarre thing, and so I think did many residents of Gurugram. Schools considered changing their timings. Offices wondered how people would get to work, because if you know Delhi, you'll know that National Highway 8 is pretty much an arterial road. It controls access to the airport. It controls access between Delhi and Gurgaon, which is a frequent commute for most people. But not to worry, the cops heard this, they announced the restrictions, and though we complained and people complained, they said, tough, what can we do? Security, VIP security. Then Rashtrapati Bhavan got in on the act, and they complained to the cops, and they said, look, she goes all around Delhi, we never do this. Why are you doing this? She's intensely embarrassed by what you're doing. She doesn't want to inconvenience people. So the decent thing to have done then would have said, okay, we made a mistake. We're sorry. We'll rescind the restrictions. Instead, the Gurugram police had their own way of doing it. They said, well, we never had these restrictions. So they said, oh, hello, they were in all the newspapers. What do you mean you never had these restrictions? They said, no, we never announced any restrictions. So somebody said, look, the site of the Gurugram police and the Twitter handle has tweeted all of these restrictions. Somebody presumably knew about these restrictions. Otherwise, why are they on your official Twitter handle? Ah, said the police commissioner, junior officers, unauthorized people, they had no business doing it. We will not stop traffic except for perhaps the 5 minutes or so that you stop it when the motorcade is passing. So far, so good. Interesting, they didn't listen to us, but they listened to the president naturally. However, when the day came when the president was going, they did keep National Highway 8 open, but all along the route, they blocked access to it. So there were barricades, assuming you'd read that National Highway 8 is open now, I can go to work. You would turn in and there would be barricades. You couldn't get to National Highway 8. So there was complete chaos in Gurugram. There were people upset, people had to abandon their cars, had to walk. Often these are narrow roads which were blocked and jammed. Nobody forgot this in a hurry. So I want to make a more general point, not pick on the Gurugram police or the Haryana police, who are a soft target with their lying and their evasions and their inconveniencing of people. I want to make a more general point about VIP security in India. We have VIP security and it's necessary. VIPs are under threat. I don't think anybody would dispute them. Some of them are. The Prime Minister is, the President is. We've lost Prime Ministers to assassinations. We've lost former Prime Ministers to assassinations. So nobody can joke about security. But there's something odd about the president being able to make it to Gurugram without traffic being stopped. However, the moment she crosses the border, suddenly all hell breaks loose. The entire area is deserted. It's not just Gurugram. I was in Bangalore a few months ago, I think it was. The Prime Minister of India was coming to inaugurate the new airport terminal. He was landing at the old airport, the HAL airport, and he didn't want to inconvenience people too much, or his people didn't. So though he had to go to the railway station inaugurate some train. They were trying to arrange for him to travel by helicopter as much as possible, certainly to the new airport terminal, so that there would be no problem, no inconvenience caused to people. Not so simple. The Bangalore police announced that they would shut roads all over. They even shut, they said, the airport highway. To which people said, but he's taking a helicopter. He's not taking the airport highway. Why are you shutting it? And they said, supposing it rains. This is so. Then the helicopter can't take off. We have to have a backup plan ready. So this idiocy was compounded by a video that a senior police official released in which he explained all of these restrictions and then said, don't mind so much. Yes, it is a day of inconvenience, but the benefits for Bangalore will continue for many years. Really? Many years? What would have happened, assuming for the purpose of argument that the Prime Minister had not come for a VIP function to inaugurate the airport terminal? Would the terminal never have opened unless there was a VIP inauguration? Of course it would have. Supposing there hadn't been a VIP inauguration of trains, would it have made any difference? Probably not. Yet such is the mentality in India that we feel only when VIPs arrive do things become real. That in itself is not necessarily what I'm talking about. My concern is with police forces. We have a strange mentality in India. When the president is in Delhi, when the prime minister is in Delhi, we act as though they are not targets. The prime minister goes around Delhi all the time. His motorcade travels with security. Traffic is stopped for a few minutes. The motorcade goes past and then traffic resumes normally. But the moment the Prime Minister leaves Delhi, suddenly the rules change. Suddenly they believe he's a huge, huge target. He was in Bombay this week and apparently the same kind of traffic chaos followed. Roads were shut for hours. People were stuck. They had nowhere to go. They had to miss appointments, all because the local police did it. So you have to ask yourselves, if the Delhi police and the PM security can manage, why is it that the moment he leaves town, even if it's next door, the president was going to Gurugram, not very far, the moment a VVIP leaves town, suddenly all hell breaks loose. Areas have to be cleared. Well, there's a simple explanation. It is local police forces. Local police forces are on the whole, let's face it, incompetent. They cannot guarantee security if normal life goes on, just as they do in Delhi. In Delhi, they can guarantee a measure of normal life and the security of the concerned person. But in these places, these guys are so underconfident, so frightened. They believe that the only way to guarantee the security of a VVIP is to shut everything down. In the process, you inconvenience the lives of lakhs of people. Children can't go to school, offices are shut. In my case in Bangalore, I had to go to the airport. I had to leave almost before the sun rose to make sure I managed to avoid all the route closures. They don't care. They don't really care how much inconvenience there is to real people. Their only concern is, let the VIP go on a deserted stretch. If he's going on a deserted stretch, then there won't be anybody. If there's nobody else around, then there won't be any threat. Now, this is a particularly bizarre attitude, and it's an attitude that exists outside of Delhi because state chief ministers are quite happy to allow them to do this. They don't care. VVIP movement, as it's called, means you can inconvenience as many people as you like. In fact, the record of police forces around the country when it comes to security is not great. I have respect for the SPG, which looks after the Prime Minister, for elements of the NSG, which also do security. But local police forces really have a pretty dismal record. Let's take the Delhi police in the old days. In 1984, Indira Gandhi was assassinated by two officers of the Delhi police. The whole conspiracy had been hatched within the Delhi police. They had no idea this was happening. And they were the guys looking after her security. In 1986, it was, I think, the Intelligence Bureau informed the Delhi police, who do the outer ring of security, that a man would secrete himself in the trees at Rajghat. And when the Prime Minister and the President came for a function, he would open fire at them. That's as clear-cut information as it's possible to give. So the Delhi police acted on it. They went to Rajghat, they roamed the area, they shook every tree, and they came back and said, it's clear, no problem. So the Prime Minister arrived, the President arrived. In fact, the assassin had been in a tree all along. The Delhi police just dismissed him. He opened fire. We were very, very lucky he missed. That's the record of police in Delhi. Elsewhere, it's pretty dismal. You look at the assassination of Rajiv Gandhi. There are many other issues about the kind of security he was denied. But to say the local police force had just installed metal detectors at the meeting, then the assassin would have been foiled. She would never have been able to get close to him. You look at a more recent incident in Orissa. A minister was assassinated a couple of weeks ago. Who killed him? The police. Apparently, as he got out of his car, a policeman who was in duty pulled out his service rifle and shot him, a service revolver, and shot him. So I think the record of the police when it comes to security is not great. And police forces all over India, and the Gurugram police, I keep saying, are a soft target because the Haryana police has such a bad reputation. But Bangalore is the same. Way back in the 1990s when I used to live in Calcutta, I remember once several people missed their flight because the Calcutta police had closed the entire airport highway because somebody from Vietnam, I don't think it was even the top leader, the foreign minister or somebody, was traveling. And the only way they could guarantee his security was by shutting the entire airport highway. We've seen this happens in Bombay. This happens all over India. The cops are just so underconfident. And given a choice between taking a risk and learning how to protect VIPs and making life hell for the rest of us, guess which option they'd take? They'd take the making life hell for us option. So what can you do? Well, first of all, I think there has to be better training. Cops have to realize that what they're doing is not normal. I remember in the 1980s when Margaret Thatcher was Prime Minister of England, she was under constant threat from the IRA. The IRA was exploding bombs all over London. She was at a hotel for the Tory party conference and a bomb exploded. Other people were injured, some of them seriously. She escaped with her life. So every single day when she stepped out of 10 Downing Street, she was under threat. She didn't know where the next attempt would come from. But did they stop traffic? Did they do what these jokers in our Indian police forces do? No. She went out. If there was a problem, they stopped traffic for a few minutes and her carcade, a small carcade, went on. That surely is how security is done. You don't inconvenience people. You don't draw too much attention to the VIP. Yet you protect you offer whatever measure of protection you can to the VIP. But that's not what security means in India, no? Security means inconveniencing people. Security means doing things that are hideously inappropriate. If you've ever seen a chief minister of a northern state, perhaps southern states as well, traveling, I refer to the chief minister of Punjab because people are talking about it. And the guy needs what? Some security in front, some security behind. Instead, there's this huge motorcade with lots and lots of cars, lots and lots of people in jeeps with automatic weapons, some distance behind him. It's more a show of strength, a status symbol, than it is any kind of effective security. And the Punjab police, we know, are not great also. We had that incident with the Prime Minister's motorcade, you'll remember, where they'd forgotten to sanitize the route and they sent him into areas that had not been cleared or double-checked. So like all police forces in India, they make up for their ineptitude with these shows of force by having commandos, guys with machine guns, huge motorcades. These serve no purpose. It's done basically just as shows of strength, and for particularly sleazy politicians and their families now in India, it's become a status symbol. If you arrive at a function, you have so-called commandos carrying these automatic weapons behind you, though nobody would waste a bullet on you, you're regarded as a really important person. But I want to make a distinction between those kinds of people and people who really are under threat. Chief ministers are under threat. Senior leaders are under threat, and there are people for whom there is a threat perception. If you want to protect them, go ahead. All of us will support you. Nobody wants a tragedy. But do it in a way that's professional. Do it in the way they do it in the rest of the world. Don't do it in a way that's mad, that's mindless, that inconveniences so many people. I can understand why the president was unhappy about the foolishness of the Haryana police. But let's not stop there. Let's not think only of the Haryana police. Let's think of all police forces in India. Let's think of the commissioners. Let's think of the DGs. Why is it that they can't provide security without making life miserable for the rest of us? Is it because they don't care about us? They're underconfident about their own ability and because they want to ingratiate themselves with their political masters? Those are the options. Take your pick. I know which one I'll choose.